Hey, welcome to the show. And before we get going, here's a daily reminder. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so don't miss any of the action from Tommy and Riley and me, of course. Hot Mike. We got Ricky Cobb, play Travis, Tyrus. All on this channel. It is fantastic. Sack up and subscribe. Hey, the fattest man in media, the guy who has the answer to everything but never stepped in a locker room, Dan Le Batard, except to take a peek. Danny Le Batard will look down low, see what's going on down there, maybe get an autograph. I don't know, maybe take a picture. But Danny Le Batard stepped into an area he knows nothing about. See, understand before you listen to Dan Le Batard. Indiana basketball used to be known for toughness. Indiana basketball used to be known as the toughest team out there. You play Indiana during the Bob Knight years, you're in for a fight. Just think Calvin Sampson, but, well, not quite as big, strong, and athletic. Guys more like me. Florida won national championship, and the little kids at Florida did a TikTok dance, and Danny Le Batard, who has never played, never coached, never been in a locker room other than to have a snack and take a peek. Danny Le Batard had comments. Danny Le Batard had things to say. Let's hear Fat Dan Le Batard.
Behind me, you see the celebration, the TikToking celebration of the University of Florida. I believe Dan Dakich said that that's the reason they couldn't be champions, because they spend 20 seconds making a TikTok video.
I mean, you saw South Carolina go down, but that game was terrible. The championship games did not deliver this year.
You think Dan Dakich will change his stance on TikTok now? And be like, you know what? I was wrong.
No.
Teams can do TikTok
he seems
dances.
like someone who's malleable and open-minded.
Yeah, I never said anything about the University of Florida being champs. Fat Dan has it wrong again. And all the little Danettes, all of whom, they're not the Danettes. The Danettes are cool. Fat Dan Le Batard, I said Indiana basketball. Never said a word about Florida. Don't care about Florida. Care about Florida on the field. But Fat Dan Le Batard did what Fat Dan Le Batard did. He got a sausage stuck in his mouth. No, I never say anything about Florida. I've always said I don't care. I'll put the tweet out. I'll show you exactly what I've said. Indiana basketball is embarrassing. In fact, I'll send it to my guys because they dance around like little girls. In fact, that's offensive to little girls. Florida, I could care less. I love that Fat Dan Le Batard, though, is sitting around watching what we're doing, watching what we're saying. Nah, I never said anything about Florida. Here's my thing on TikToking. If you're at Indiana in your uniform on media day, don't do it. If you want, because you're going to suck. And they did. If you win a game against Wyoming in the NCAA tournament in the play-in game, and you got another game 48 hours later out in, where was it? Somewhere way west, from Dayton way west, don't waste your time TikToking. Don't do it. If you're Indiana. Florida, you do whatever you want. Because what happens is you're going to go out there and St. Mary's, of all places, is going to make Indiana basketball quit. If you win something, TikTok your ass off. If you win something, lose your mind. I'm one of the great celebrators of all time. In fact, people often talk about beating Michael Jordan, and that was great. But the truth of the matter is the celebration after was fantastic. I knew where to go. I knew to go to Steve Alford, the most handsome, most beloved guy in basketball. Why? Because the camera would be there. Now, see, Indiana, and this is something Fat Dan Le Batard can't understand. See, Fat Dan never played. Fat Dan has sat. Fat Dan likes the buffet. Fat Dan is actually the poster child for now, the crumb-stained media guy. He can't even get my criticisms right. I don't care about Florida. What do I care about Florida? I care about Indiana. Indiana has gone to, let me give it to you, 11 Elite Eights in its history. Since 1939 of playing basketball. Now, let me explain it to you. Since Indiana got rid of Bob Knight, since Indiana decided we were going to downsize, I was there, basketball, I was in the meeting. I listened to it. We were going to push it a little aside. Indiana, since 1993, has been to one Elite Eight. That's it. Since Bob Knight and his influence have been gone since 2000 when he got fired in 2002, the players he recruited, Indiana has gone to none. 0 Elite Eight. 0 Final Fours. Now, I don't know about you, but that's 23 years. That's a long time in Indiana basketball lore. I'll give you 23 years from 1997. I'll even give you this. From 1993 back to 1970, 23 years, Indiana went undefeated twice, won 3 national championships, went to the Elite Eight 6 times. Once Bob Knight was done and they decided they're going another way in basketball, it hasn't worked. That's my point. My point has nothing to do with Florida. Get the sausage out of your mouth. Dan Le Batard, pay attention here. If you're going to quote me well from whatever venue you are doing it or from whatever freaking media company you are doing it. You and John Skipper, was he cross-dressing? Was he cocaine? What was he? You guys are perfect for each other. Perfect. Stay in your lane, Dan. Stay in your lane. Anytime Dan Le Batard and his little knee pads guy, Stugotz, and you know why Stugotz wears knee pads for Dan Le Batard, anytime they have come at me, and they have, they've never gotten it right. I didn't say anything about Florida, which leads me to believe in everything else they don't get it right. If the only thing that I actually know about is wrong all the time, well, here's the TikTok dance I was talking about. Can we play it or can we not play it? We probably can't play it. 2 little guys in Indiana uniforms dancing like, I don't know, English schoolgirls in uniform on Assembly Hall representing what used to be the toughest program ever since Indiana went Dan Le Batard, fat, ridiculous, sloppy, and wrong. Haven't been to a single Elite Eight. Not 2 Sweet 16s. 1 Elite Eight in 23 years. Fat Dan, I've wasted too much time on you. But I love it. I love it. You were the worst lead-in show in the history of local broadcasting. That's why ESPN got rid of your fat ass. You got that little guy Stugotz at ESPN tried so hard to make a star, and it didn't happen, and you're still following me around. No, Fat Dan, I didn't talk about Florida. Nah, Fat Dan, I talked about Indiana. And I'm 1,000% right. If you go to Indiana basketball, the coach at Indiana wants to come on my show in the afternoons. First thing I'm going to tell him is, can you get rid of the bullshit? Can you get back to being Indiana? Or are you just another guy that's going to talk about the history and tradition of Indiana? I mean, the history and tradition of Indiana is tough-ass dudes. Look at this little TikTok here. This is look at this. Ready? Okay. Hi, guys. We're going to dance for you. What is this? Tell me what this is. The guy on the right transferred, Cooper Kupp or Gabe's Cup. Look at these guys. That's not Indiana basketball to me. It may be to Fat Dan. I mean, Fat Dan may like it. Hey, I don't know what happens when Fat Dan closes his front door. But it ain't to me. It ain't Indiana basketball. And frankly, the numbers prove it. They do. A storied program that used to win or at least go to the Final Four every 5 years hasn't been there in 23 years. And I was in the meeting in 1999 when Clarence Steininger informed everybody, we're going to put Indiana basketball on the back burner. Oh, Alumni Magazine's going to show women and blah, 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 blah. Okay. We're never going to have, they said, another Bob Knight. We will never have another Bob Knight at this university. Okay. All right. Fine. You've had Calvin Sampson, a massive cheat. You've had Archie Miller, a little rat. You've had Woodson, whatever Woodson was. I don't know. I gave Indiana a 25-point manifesto. How to make Indiana great. They just announced one of them the other day that I've been talking about, and the AD, Scott Dolson, listen, they're going to have a big game in Indianapolis. I rambled there a bit, but that's what I do when I get excited. I do. I get excited because I know all these guys like Fat Dan Le Batard know nothing about what they're talking about. I know all these guys like Fat Dan Le Batard lie and don't ever get it right. And when it gets proven, I love it. I get such a kick out of it. Where is Fat Dan anyway? At a deli near you. Stugotz. Hi, Dan. Man, oh, man. All right, you got me fired up, boys. I thank you for that. You got me fired up. Yeah. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, boy. It appears that the constant bullying and beating up of WNBA legend Caitlin Clark has pressured her to go fully woke. As the Fever star doubled down on her white privilege during an interview with wokeness himself, David Letterman, when asked to address comments made by Aja Wilson about Clark's race, led to a great embrace by fans and brands in which Caitlin agreed. Caitlin Clark, I definitely had privilege. I'm obviously white, but I think I'm someone who grew up watching the league. So I know where the league comes from. A lot of black women that grew up making this league what it is. Yeah, they did. And white girls too. They made it a money-sucking, ridiculous, jealous, hard-to-watch entity. And then Caitlin Clark came along. And that's kind of the shoulders we stand on. No, honey. Nope, you don't. You don't stand on anybody's shoulders. They stand on yours. I mean, that league was a mess. And frankly, Caitlin, that league got exposed as being a mess by your success. That league got exposed as having sexist, racist, ridiculous human beings, jealous, everything that my wife, the lovely Lee Ross Dakich, said it was. That's right. Everything my wife said women are in sports. Because remember, we were the first to tell you, women can't stand to see other women succeed in sports. It makes them crazy. Absolutely nuts. And the women of the WNBA, this racist, sexist, lesbian women of the WNBA couldn't stand you because of your success, and you gave in to them. Why? You don't need to address your privilege, and they all deserve credit. Sure, give them credit. Here's the credit, ladies. I'll give you credit for having 27 years of nothing. And the more we give them credit, the better. I'll give you that. Now, ESPN has framed her popularity as a symptom of an intolerance for a league full of black lesbians. Various black women in the WNBA fell for the lie and responded by hard-fouling, harassing, slurring Clark on the court. After originally ignoring the racial animus around here, Clark has responded with 2 fake acknowledgments of her white privilege. Well, that's from an Outkick article. I'm not going to say they're fake because I don't know. I honestly don't know. Maybe she feels that way. More than likely, what happened was, look, Caitlin, you're in this league. You know what? Just acknowledge them and get them out of the way. Because that's what it is. Just acknowledge them and get them the hell out of the way. Acknowledge the Tarasis. Acknowledge them all. Acknowledge them. And just get them out of the way. Nobody really gives a rat's ass about them anyway. Take the high road. Probably the smart thing to do, if you really think about it from a marketing perspective. I mean, people can say that wokeness is gone, but look at your commercials. They're still incredibly woke. They're still, homosexual couples. I don't care. But we think the thing is done. We think wokeness is done. It's not. It's not on the national level. Yeah, right? We got Pepsi or whatever it was, Bud Light, went away for a little bit, but they'll be back. But the other commercials, when you look around, the level of wokeness, and there's very rarely a traditional family, mom and dad. There's always some degree of wokeness or whatever you want to call it. So, you know what? If you want to make your way in that world, you got to give in a little bit, I suppose. No, I do. We recognize Caitlin Clark finds herself in an unenviable position. Her opponents and teammates abhor her, in part because she is straight and white. Her teammates love her, actually. She's relatively apolitical, in which LGBTQism, I wanted to make sure I got that right, is woven into the culture. Oh, it is woven into the culture. Commentators like Monica McNutt continue to put a target on her back by framing her popularity as great white hopeism. Well, the other thing Caitlin Clark may understand is this. She may understand what everybody at ESPN understands that has a thinking brain. Monica McNutt and her ilk are morons. Now, do they have a certain degree of power? Sure. Why? Well, because they're on TV. And they continue to be given more jobs. Elle Duncan is a talentless hack, but she continues to get more jobs. The bald lady that is on ESPN had nothing, zero about volleyball, had never covered volleyball. But in the Final Four, they eliminated the white male who had been covering it the entire year and brought her in, and she was a pain in the ass. I mean, let's be honest about this here. I know we're not allowed to be, but let's just be honest about the people that are running ESPN want to make damn sure the WNBA succeeds. Now, here's what Caitlin Clark could do. Look, y'all come at me like this. I'm not doing any interviews with you. Y'all keep coming at me with this bullshit. This is what should happen. If I were her father, this is what would be happening. Look, y'all keep coming at it with these dumbasses, Monica McNutt. I'm done with you. I'm done with you. I'm not doing interviews with you. Don't ask me to talk to you. I'm not putting up with this bullshit from these dumbasses that couldn't play, never could play, have no idea what they're doing, and have jobs for only one reason. That's what I would do were I Caitlin Clark's father. And we're not putting up with this shit. We'll go play in the Unrivaled League, and let's see which league gets going. And then let's see where the hell we're at. At some point, you got to play offense if you're Caitlin Clark. In fact, Aaron, remind me, I'm going to do a video on that. Hey, your dumbasses at ESPN want to get up there and be racist as hell towards me. I don't participate in racism. I won't. I never have. I never will. So either straighten the shit out or we're going to go to another league. And let's see how your little league does. Let's see how all your contracts get renewed as we move it along in a couple years. That's what I'd do if I was her dad. I wouldn't have my daughter unless she honestly felt this way. If my daughter honestly felt that she was a victim, not a victim, a product of privilege, and that she truly does stand on the shoulders of these, okay. But if this is all bullshit, I'm not letting my daughter do it. They're not paying her enough. She can make enough doing whatever. She can play basketball wherever. But the caveat to that is I'm sure somebody like Caitlin Clark grew up wanting to play in that league. She didn't realize all the bullshit. You know, it was funny. The other day, I'm watching some of these old heads in the NBA being interviewed on different podcasts, whether it's Arena Sizz or the Up in Smoke, and I realized what a break I got not playing in the NBA during my era, during the 80s. I wasn't going to be good enough to be Barkley. I wasn't good enough to play in the league. But it is amazing to me what dumbasses were. Drugs, yelling at coach, just being idiots. And I realized I caught a break. You know, Caitlin Clark, I'm sure, and I dreamed of playing in the NBA. Everybody did. I'm sure Caitlin Clark dreamed of playing in the WNBA. And then when she got there, she's like, Jesus, what are these idiots doing? I don't know, man. You don't have leverage all the time. And when you do have leverage, like Caitlin Clark has, you damn sure better use it. Because these idiots, and I'm not talking about the players, I'm talking about the media, they ain't stopping. Because remember this, Monica McNutt has to get on TV, all right, and then she has to answer for what she says on TV to quote her community. And that's bullshit. And that is absolutely the way it is. 1,000% the way it is. You would rather say something on TV than to be seen. We've heard this from all folk. Not black enough. Or why are you defending the white girl? And it's all bullshit. We should all be treated the same. We should all be treated equal. Isn't that what we hear? It ain't equal but special. No, I'm telling you. If I was Caitlin Clark's dad, I'd tell ESPN to go fuck itself. I would. Go fuck yourself. Next time I hear that bullshit, we ain't playing in a game that you're televising. I'm going to be sick. I'm going to do like the NBA. I'm going to be hurt. That's what I would do. Now, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that's what I would do. What? We're playing against who? ESPN Primetime. I ain't playing. Nope. Done. Oh, man, my knee hurts. Now, you think, 23 or 22, whatever Caitlin Clark is, you wouldn't do that. Shit. Yeah, I would stop it real quick. You stand up to bullies. You don't acquiesce, ever. Because when you acquiesce or apologize, it will never stop. It's history. It goes back to the beginning of time. You stand up to bullies. You tell them go F themselves. And they will stick it right in themselves. Little golf media guys are pissed. Little golf media guys are still pissed over the fact that Collin Morikawa declined to speak to the press after a bad round of golf at the Arnold Palmer Invitational last month, leading to media members labeling him as entitled, along with being sensitive and soft. Look, understand something. There is nobody more sensitive than media members. Hell, I just did 10 minutes on Fat Dan Le Batard because he said two things about me. Apparently, I'm sensitive. I get it. I totally get it. What, are you kidding me? Sensitive, soft, fast forward. And now they are now using the pre-Masters tournament to interrogate Morikawa over his decision not to speak to them a month ago. See, here's the psychology behind it. If Morikawa did it and got, quote, away with it, then more guys would. Ooh, interesting. So we have to perpetuate this, make Morikawa look bad so that other guys and their agents see this and go, wait, we don't want any of that smoke. No, what, golf media smoke? What? Here's a little Morikawa catching it.
Sorry in advance for bringing up a little bit of a sore subject, but your comments at the players on, you don't know the media, anything, got a lot of attention, a lot of criticism that you seemed upset by. The conversation around that whole situation was, professional golfers in comparison to other athletes from other sports are soft or sensitive when dealing with criticism. Do you think that's a fair or unfair assessment?
It's an interesting way to put that question. I'll answer it in a few pieces. So one, I was not upset by it. I think everyone took it in a wrong direction. I said it in my second media thing. I could have said it differently, but I stand by what I said, right? I was in the moment. We talk about giving people space to be who they are. And at that time, it was for me to be who I was. And I didn't want to be around anyone. I didn't even want to be around my wife. I said hi to her after, we hugged. And I just went straight to the locker room, right? So in that aspect, I'm not, I think there needs to be a balance and an ebb and flow between everything, right? I do want to be here for you guys, but here's the thing. I've been in the top 5 in the world before, and people don't come up to me and ask me questions. So if you guys, you can't just ask me when I'm playing well. You guys should be asking the top 10 players every single week, every single day, and just document it, Then you get a sense of who we are, and you get a flow of how that comes to be, right? But if you're only asking me, look, I've been in the top 5 for however long, in my career. I mean, there's plenty of times where media doesn't ask me. So there's a balance, right? If you guys don't want to ask me, then it's not my job to go out and tell you my story. Sometimes it is, right? But you do that through social media. You do that through playing well, winning tournaments, but not everyone's like that. So that's what I don't get, this whole, So I stand by what I said.
That's all I needed to say. I stand by what I said. If you're upset by it, go right over there and be upset by it. I mean, that ain't hard. Let me see here. Yeah. You're upset. Go. If you want to say we're soft, good. I'm a golfer. I mean, I'm not in the field of battle. I mean, I'm not getting knocked down by Karl Malone. I'm not getting knocked on my ass by LeBron James. I'm a golfer. I don't want to talk to you. I ain't talking to you. I'm telling you. There is nothing more demeaning than having to sit in front of a bunch of fat fucks, excuse my language, that don't know if you really wanted to break down what you were talking about. Not one of them would know. Like if Calvin Sampson, after the national championship game, said to all those fat-ass media guys at UC, the Jeff Goodmans of the world, all these guys, and explained what happened on that last play, honest to God, they couldn't. They'd be like, what's he talking about? And that's how you think as a coach or as a player. Like, if I really explain this shit to these idiots, they wouldn't get it anyway. So why bother? No, it's true. Yeah. So, hey, look, I'm mad. I'm going home. I'm a professional golfer. I played my round. That's it. You don't like it? Write about it. One thing I learned, being attacked by the worst people in media, it just don't matter. It don't. Hey, Live Golf brings in the woman. Listen to this. Live Golf brings in the woman who single-handedly dismantled Bud Light. She did. She single-handedly put Bud Light into an almost non-existent state with her sponsorship. Remember when this woman put in Dylan Mulvaney and said, no more frat boys? And people said, really? Well, frat boys aren't buying your shit. Let transgender boys buy your shit and see how that goes for you. It's so great. This is so great what Liv did. I can't wait to meet this woman. I think I'm going to go to a live tournament this year in Indianapolis. Bud Light completely fumbled the bag by putting Dylan Mulvaney's face on a beer can. What followed was one of the biggest consumer boycotts in recent memory, one that nearly destroyed the Bud Light brand entirely. I have not drank Bud Light since. I haven't. The other day at the Las Vegas airport, my son and I were going to have a beer. And he's like, what do you want? And I looked, there was Bud Light. I said, I'll have a Modelo. I don't even like Modelo. At the center of the fallout was the Light Beer Giants vice president, Elisa Hinderschnad. Hinderschnad appears to have been hired last year and now works in team business operations. Good for her. See, I'm not going to be like you liberals. I want her to work again. I don't care about the wokeness. I would care about the bad business decision if I were going to hire her to be involved in our business. I don't want people canceled. You got to assume Liv Golf knew her backstory because it was everywhere. And that interview she did explaining the philosophy that led the unraveling of the entire brand. It went viral. Now, I don't know that I would have hired her after the Bud Light fiasco, but perhaps she learned something. At least if you're Liv Golf, you would certainly hope so. Yeah. I mean, you would hope so. I'm all for people getting second chances. She made a stupid mistake because she got caught up. She got caught up in wokeness. Remember this? Here she is. Dumb.
I'm a businesswoman. I had a really clear job to do when I took over Bud Light. And it was, this brand is in decline. It's been in decline for a really long time. And if we do not attract young drinkers to come and drink this brand, there will be no future for Bud Light. So I had this super clear mandate. It's like we need to evolve and elevate this incredibly iconic brand. And what I brought to that was a belief in, okay, what does evolve and elevate mean? It means inclusivity. It means shifting the tone. It means having a campaign that's truly inclusive and feels lighter and brighter and different and appeals to women and to men. Mm-hmm. And representation is at sort of the heart of evolution. You've got to see people who reflect you in the work. And we had this hangover. I mean, Bud Light had been kind of a brand of fratty, kind of out of touch humor. And it was really important that we had another approach.
Yeah, it was important, all right. And I love the smugness. That's my thing. See, as you get older, you look for smugness. The smugness, she's really smart. A user said this is one of the biggest brands. A Twitter user said this is one of the biggest wins for the PGA Tour. That lady almost single-handedly destroyed the Bud Light brand, is now at Live Golf. Huge, 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 huge win. Huge win for the PGA Tour. Like, these people think they're so smart, and they're going to show, and she is smart. But you know what? That we need to not be fratty. And really? All right. Okay there, sweetie. All right. My God, Dakich, you said, sweetie, yes, I'm making fun of her. I make fun of everyone. I do voices of everyone. So don't get offended. If you're offended, go over there in the corner. Education Secretary Linda McMahon fired off a warning to those who still allow transgender athlete and girls and women's sports into social media posts Tuesday as Donald Trump's executive order has been bucked by several organizations since it was signed. McMahon, to all the entities that continue to allow men to compete in women's sport and use women's intimate facilities, there's a new sheriff in town. The Bush administration will not allow you to get away with denying women's civil rights any longer. Good for her. President Trump signed the No Men in Women's Sports executive order in early February to prohibit biological males from competing in girls' and women's sports. However, some states have refused to comply with the order. While the NCAA, with altered its trans inclusion policy, faced criticism for potentially allowing loopholes in the rule. There should be no loophole. How simple is this? Hey, dude, born with a dick, go play with the men. I don't know. On Tuesday, 14 Maine state senators signed a letter sent to the White House condemning Governor Janet Mills for continuing to support trans inclusion in girls and women's sports. The 14 senators wrote that Maine's current policies that enable trans inclusion violated the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act as well as Title IX. That's right. That ain't hard. Excuse me. We're going to protect women now. Trans athletes, we want you to play. We love your involvement. There's the men's locker room. Go get her done. Go play against the men. What? No. We want you to play. We think you should play. We are inclusive. There's a men's locker room. Go play with the men. But I feel like a woman. Great. There's a men's locker room. Go play with the men. But I am a woman. Great. You got a penis? Men's locker room. Born with a penis? Men's locker room. Go play. Simple. Go play. I mean, why don't we do that? I've talked about that for months, if not years. Why don't we do that? Why is that so hard? Well, we'll be bullied. Well, you're bullying the women. Go there. I don't care, but it's a women's locker room, and you have a penis. You were born with a penis. Go over there. But I feel like a woman. Great. Good. Me too some days. Me too. When I'm feeling big and strong and tough, I feel like a woman. When I feel like I'm whining because I got a cold, I'm a dude. Women are tougher than men. We get it. We get it. Multiple left-leaning CNN panelists are taken to work. He stands on business. That's right. That man's name, Scott Jennings. I'll throw Kevin O'Leary in there, too, on differing topics. Going from the crisis with illegal immigration to China getting hit with a 104% tariff. Here's Scott Jennings.
I don't think anybody disagrees with that. 7 million means that they're not just going after criminals.
Well, they're going after people who are in the country illegally, right?
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying the criminals, this is a much bigger universe than
Doesn't that make you a criminal?
No, it doesn't.
To come across the border illegally?
Coming into the country illegally is a civil offense. It's not a criminal offense.
Okay, if you come into the country illegally, here's the message. We're going to find you and send you back. I mean, I'm sorry, that's the way it is. And I think the government should pull all the levers at its disposal to find people and pull this off. It's what the American people asked Donald Trump to do. Yes, they should be deporting violent people. Yes, they should be deporting people who committed violent acts before they came here. But at some juncture, if you're going to allow any illegal immigration at all, the message then goes out. Just get here, it'll probably work out for you. That was the last administration. This is a different one.
The government.
Yeah, I mean, it's a misdemeanor. And then if you get deported and come back, it's a felony. I mean, honest to God, look at the facial reaction. I mean, that girl on the right doesn't know what I just said. Can you imagine? Can you imagine having to sit there and listen to this stupidity? These women certainly don't believe what they're saying. These panelists, always, women and men with Scott Jennings, don't believe what they're saying. But Jennings is there because he's the only guy that will actually say what he believes. Or these women and the other panelists, because there's men on there too, are just stupid, which I would go with. Kevin O'Leary had thoughts.
104% tariffs in China are not enough. I'm advocating 400%. I do business in China. They don't play by the rules. They've been in the WTO for decades. They have never abided by any of the rules they agreed to when they came in for decades. They cheat, they steal IP. I can't litigate in their courts. They take product, technology, they steal it, they manufacture it and sell it back here. Never has an administration.
400% tariffs? What would that look like?
I want Xi on an airplane to Washington to level the playing field. It's just not about tariffs anymore. Nobody has taken on China yet, not the Europeans, no administration for decades. As someone who actually does business there, I've had enough. I speak for millions of Americans who have IP that have been stolen by the Chinese. I have nothing against the Chinese people. They brought great literacy, art, and tech to the world. The government cheats and steals, and finally, an administration, you may not like Trump, you may not like his style or his rhetoric, finally, an administration that puts up and says enough. 400% tariffs tomorrow morning. He'll tell you why. Xi can only stay the supreme leader if people are employed. If we wipe out any business there, because we are still 39% of all consumables on Earth and 25% of the world's GDP, America is the #1 economy on Earth with all the cards. We will not have that forever. It's time to squeeze Chinese heads into the wall.
You know, why not? I mean, here's the thing. If what all these folks are saying is true, yeah, we're going to have some hard times for about 6 months, and then it should be better. We'll see. The stock market is down today. Yesterday, it reached historic levels. But the stock market is back down 600 points. We'll see where it ends up. Things leveled off a little bit, which is what it always happens. You know, yesterday I told people, look, don't sell. You don't lose money. I lost a ton. I looked yesterday. I didn't want to look, but I looked yesterday, and I'm never going to retire unless they make me retire. But the truth of the matter is I am for what smart people think because I don't know enough of the issue. I read, but I don't believe what I read. So if Kevin O'Leary tells me that we need a 400% tariff or whatever he believes, I'm in. If some panelist on CNN that gets her makeup done 2 minutes before the show and gets handed a sheet, I got no interest. I like the fact that we have a businessman in the White House. I don't love everything about Donald Trump, but I do like the fact that we have a businessman in the White House and he's taking care of business. Because here, Nick, you know what we do. We stand on business. But anyway, it's always fascinating. I've been in these things, not at CNN, but at ESPN. The host doesn't know their ass from third base, but they're handed a sheet. Okay, we're going to talk about this. Try to be smart. I was a little disappointed in Jennings there that he didn't fire back telling that lady, whoever that lady was on CNN, that, well, it's not civil. It is a misdemeanor that rises to a felony if you come back in. Whatever.